Full Power Living with Eileen Dillon.
All right, welcome to Full Power Living, which is the only show on international media dedicated to the exploration and understanding of emotions and how powerful they are in human life. I'm Eileen Dillon, your show creator and host, and this morning we have a very special experience for you because our guest is Daniel Rechnitzer, who is one of the founders of Accessing Universal Intelligence, and he's here to answer your questions. So if you're concerned about an issue with your body or your health, you're unsure which way to turn in your life, maybe you've worked on yourself like I did for years, but there's still some areas of living that you don't understand and you haven't been able to change the way you want to. If there's something like this, or someone you know maybe that you should turn loose of, but you haven't been able to do so, or you don't know exactly how to do it, these are the kinds of questions you can certainly ask today. For the past few months, we've been offering our listeners on Full Power Living this amazing resource, Their Own Higher Self, as conveyed by Sonia Rechnitzer, co-founder of Accessing Universal Intelligence, and sometimes by the big kahuna himself, Daniel Rechnitzer, who is pleasantly with us today. So, as an all-knowing mentor, Daniel talks to his higher consciousness, his higher self, and then connects with yours and gives you answers that are just right. And you certainly could listen to some of the past shows to realize just how accurate this way of working with you and giving you answers is. Please call in 888-498-0570 and get your place in line. So now, Daniel, right before we started, you and I were talking. You're doing a welcome to Full Power Living, first of all.
Thank you, Eileen. Hello, everyone.
You're doing a television show, What Doctors Don't Know.
Yes, the show is all about it's all about people who have questions and are without answers. And they've taken these questions to experts, be it doctors, be it therapists, be it coaches, whatever it may be, and they've come back empty-handed. You know, these experts don't have the answers. So we have people on our show, people with HIV, fibromyalgia, arthritis, all manner of symptoms, relationship meltdowns. We even had a gentleman with impotence recently coming on our show and saying, hey, I've been to the experts. They don't have an answer. What does this, universal intelligence have to say, or the higher consciousness? And they come on the show and ask the question, and I give them the answer. And we're having spectacular results. So I'd love to talk more about that as well.
Well, I'd like to talk more about that right now, because you were when we were talking before the show, you were talking about the different kinds of issues. When you started out developing the approach that is used in Accessing Universal Intelligence, that you teach the mentors to do and so forth, you started with physical healing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was very much my journey. And the abilities that presented themselves to me was being able to tap into the root cause of illness. Now, not many people know this, but the medical profession treats the symptom and not the cause. So they look at what the physical manifestation is in the body and they try and treat that. But the physical manifestation in the body is just a result, a symptom of something that's going on internally, a thought process, a belief system, a perspective on oneself, a perspective on one's life. And so the internal reality is being reflected in the physical dimension. So what we do, and where we've always been with UI, is we can tap in through our consciousness to access what is creating that physical illness, no matter what it is. And that's what the whole show is about.
And so you said that recently you had somebody with fibromyalgia that actually has improved? at this point?
Yes, we've just the first batch of people included a woman with fibromyalgia, and that we first filmed her. She came to us 3 months ago, and we just did the completion of the filming this weekend, and she is all healed. There is no fibromyalgia left in her after 3 months of integrating the truth.
Okay, so now fibromyalgia is a immune system difficulty, is it not?
Well, ultimately that's how it manifests. But when you look at it through the eyes of intuition, through higher consciousness, the common characteristic is pushing the body too far. Is the need coming from the space of, I haven't done enough with my life, I need to do more, I need to accomplish more, I need to be more. So that energy, that belief system, if you like, that's at the root there is constantly pushing these people to be high achievers. It's like whatever I do is not enough, and that manifests in these physical symptoms that are part of fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm.
So you're wearing down your immune system completely.
So one of the things we work with in UI is limiting beliefs. And what I hear is the possibility that each different illness may have a characteristic set or of limiting beliefs.
Yes, beautiful. Every symptom in the body is coming from what we call a non-truth. Another way to say that is a belief, a limiting belief. So we've got this notion that was handed down to us, be it in the womb, as a child, that mum and dad have passed down, or grandma and grandpa, or media, or whatever, has passed down to us, and we've taken it on as if it's the truth. But it's not, and it's always something to the effect of, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm rejected, I'm not heard, I'm not respected. It's always some permutation of that. Now, the human body is a reflection of truth. It thrives on what's truthful, and that's what the higher consciousness is. So anything that we're carrying that is a non-truth, the body wants to bring it up to be healed, so it manifests as a physical symptom, aches, pains, illness, disease. It's the way of the body saying, what you believe about yourself is not the truth, it's harmful to your life, it's going to take you off path, and in order to bring you back on path, back in alignment with your higher consciousness, we need to heal this, and we need to bring in a situation that has you learn the truth.
Mm-hmm. So this woman who had fibromyalgia, you said you she got into contact with you about 3 months ago. How much time did it take for her to be symptom-free?
Good question. It took about 2.5 months. Now, that varies person to person, because what happens is during the process, on the TV show, I give them the truth. So I tell them what's at the root cause of the illness. Then they go through sessions with a mentor to help them integrate the truth. So it depends on how some people are a lot more stuck than others. So some people don't want to let in the truth. They think it's better, feel safer not to let it in. So, yeah, in this case, it was about 2.5 months to be symptom-free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so the more open a person is to releasing those, the internal saboteur, as Sonia likes to call it, the ego, the limiting beliefs, the faster the healing can occur.
Absolutely, because the healing could actually be instantaneous, but it's our resistance to letting in these new truths that make it take time. So those of us who are really fast to go, you know what, I don't have fear, I just want to embrace the truth about myself, healing's instantaneous. But some of us at different moments, we have a lot of fear. We're worried that, you know, if I let in this new truth, I'm going to have to let go of my husband or my wife or my career or my whatever. We get worried, you know, about these things which aren't the truth, and so it takes longer. Case in point, we had a gentleman who had been suffering with impotency for about 16 years. He comes on the show and he says, he's very upset. He's in his 70s. Comes in, and most people go, well, he's in his 70s, that's just part of aging. Truth, that's just another limiting belief. So he comes on to the show and he says, Daniel, this is my problem. I've been experiencing this for 16 years. Can you help me? When I tuned in and got the truth, it wasn't at all that there's something wrong with the man, anything wrong with his body. What was happening is he was fed up with being married to his wife. It was so interesting. She had undermined him pretty much the whole marriage, telling him he's useless, he's not good enough, he hasn't done enough with his life. That's completely emasculating. So by the time they have sex, or go to have sex, he's in this position of, well, I don't feel good enough, number one, and B, I don't want to have sex with you either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, it's impotence is the manifestation of I'm emasculated by you.
Mm-hmm. Well, now,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's your show.
Thank you. You're the guest. Yesterday, I pre-recorded a program that's going to be on in May. I interviewed a little 11-year-old girl who, when she was 8, learned about child slavery in the world and determined she was going to do something about it, and has raised well over $100,000 in the last 2 years to end child slavery. And one of the things that I asked her, I hope you have time to listen to it, because we had my granddaughter's third grade class. We had 38 students in a school in Sacramento asking this other girl questions, because they're involved in helping in similar ways. And it was really great. Yeah. But I asked her this question. I said, what was it that allowed you to have the faith in yourself that you kept on believing that you could raise the $100,000?
Wow, what a great question.
Yeah, and she said, I'm a kid. Kids think about what they can do. They don't think about what they can't do.
How profound is that?
Yeah, exactly. But as I was thinking about it, I was thinking, well, she is telling us the effect of the beliefs that we pick up along the way. It's like when she started, by age 8, she still had belief in herself. And then as we get older, we lose that belief, or we lose connection with the positive things about ourselves. Can you talk about that for just a minute?
Yeah, sure. And it really varies from individual to individual and culture to culture, but essentially, humanity has grown to believe certain things about themselves. So one of the biggest beliefs that humanity carries is we're only human, and being human means we're self-destructive, and we're frail, and we're inherently going to make huge amounts of mistakes and ruin lives. So from one generation, from one experience to the next, we're teaching our children what we think is true. We're teaching them what we think is possible to do with money, what's possible to do with healing, with learning, the speed at which we learn things, and what's possible in terms of the spiritual world and how life actually works. So each child is this walking, talking library of nonsense. And the nonsense is covering up that inner connection that you're talking about, which is to truth, a higher self, which is limitless, infinite knowledge, infinite intelligence. And so the less limiting beliefs that we're carrying around, the more of that infinite self, or intuition, if you like, comes through. So our job as parents is to no longer impart our children with limiting beliefs, but rather impart to our children that they are a limitless being capable of infinite feats. So the limiting beliefs we store in what we call the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is directly mirrored back in our physical body, so that's where all the illness and things are coming from. That's just reflecting our subconscious. But our role in the more truth that we see, whether that's through meditation or whether that's through clearing or just through life, the more truth we see, the more that subconscious mind dissolves into what we call the superconscious being that infinite self. So that's our journey through life, is to dissolve the non-truth to see the truth. Another word for that is enlightenment.
Well, I got to talk with you a little bit more about this, because it sort of seems like we're more connected with enlightenment when we start out life, and then we lose track, and then we spend a lot of time getting back to it. And I'd like to talk to you about that progression.
That is 100% truth right there.
Thank you. Well, then we don't need to talk about it. It's time for a break. We've got a caller, Melissa, we're going to talk with right after the break. Today I'm interviewing Daniel Rechnitzer, who is talking with us about how easy and powerful connecting with our inner wisdom can be, and that we can do it. And part of the message that you and Sonia offer, Daniel, is that everyone can do what you do. And so please call us
Absolutely.
at 88. Yeah, good. Thank you. Call us at 888-498-0570 to ask your own questions. We'll be right back with Melissa. You're listening to Full Power Living.
Eileen Dillon is a certified senior life mentor with Accessing Universal Intelligence. She's available to conduct mentoring sessions with you to help you understand, change, and evolve using the advice of your own higher self. You can be anywhere in the world. Sessions are conducted through Skype. For more information about these life mentoring sessions, fees, and how to register, go to www.emotionalpro.com and click on the mentoring link at the top. Get personally tailored assistance with your toughest life questions. Visit mentoring@emotionalpro.com today.
Well, I never do know what ad is going to play. That's an interesting one, because part of the message is that we can all do what Daniel is demonstrating to us. Let me give you just a few announcements. We air on both Blog Talk Radio and EmotionalPro.com once a week on Thursdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, where we have chats, and we'd love to have you join us for a chat. I see someone has put up a question on the chat, so after we talk with Melissa, we'll get to that. And also, we distribute on iTunes, so you can subscribe to iTunes and listen to our shows on your iPhone or whatever device you use. Next week, April 10th, we have another amazing opportunity for you to talk about healing. I'm interviewing Dr. and Master Shah. He is a best-selling author and master healer who's been trained as both a Western scientific medical doctor and as a Chinese medicine doctor, and he also is a master of many energy disciplines, such as Qigong and Reiki. So we're going to be talking about self-healing miracles, and you'll see that that fits really well with what we've been talking about with Daniel. So please join us for our next show when I talk with Dr. and Master Shah. I also want to thank you for helping us with our mission of raising awareness of the power and importance of human emotions. Our phone number is 888-498-0570. Now, we've been talking with Daniel Rechnitzer, who is co-founder and leader of Accessing Universal Intelligence. You can find them online at accessingui.com. Lots of interesting things there. Wonderful videos you've made, too, Daniel.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. So, Melissa, you've been patiently waiting to ask Daniel your questions. Are you there?
I'm here. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks
Hi,
for your
Daniel.
patience.
Hi, Melissa.
Sure. Hi. My question is, I need to end the cycle of not being, or how do I end the cycle of not being fully supported and loved by the people that are in my life?
It's a great question. The first answer that comes through is that you keep putting yourself last. And by that I mean, in order for them to be loving and supportive, you've got to lead by example. So every time you stop what you're doing with yourself and giving yourself the time and energy you need, and you go to give them that, they take that as a cue and they go, all right, well, she's malleable, she's there when I need her, so I'll just keep needing her. So it starts with you setting those boundaries and laying those foundations for yourself that I come first. And it takes a little bit of time sometimes for people to realize there's a new person in the house. But Melissa, it always comes back to you, and that's the biggest message here, is that you are worthy of coming first in your life.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes too much sense.
Okay.
It does. It makes a lot of sense.
And also be aware, Melissa, that there are mentors, such as myself, but many mentors through Accessing UI that can support you in that if you find yourself wandering off, because it's hard to stay on a track like Daniel just offered you, or it can be hard. I suppose that's a belief, huh, Daniel? We could change it and say it's easy?
Yeah, well, you need to see the truth. I mean, and that's something, Eileen, I agree with you. So, we get so stuck in that, I put myself last, and until we see the real truth that we are worthy and why we are worthy, we can easily default to that old pattern. So, yeah, it's a great idea, Melissa, to spend some time with Eileen in a session, and she can really bring up some of those key truths to keep you purposeful and to keep you on track. And what's coming through now, it's this beautiful light. I'm just being shown this beautiful light coming through that when you do integrate that is the truth, you will just experience a buoyancy. It's like almost an effervescence in your life of, wow, I never knew life could feel like this. You'll feel it without that constant weight on yourself. So it definitely feels worthwhile to talk further to Eileen, that's for sure.
I thank you so much for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Eileen, thank you.
Sure.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
So that's really interesting. There are a lot of people. This is something that I've worked with. Maybe that's why it came out that this is not easy to do, because I think as a matter of survival, I learned to put myself last, thinking as children do, they think if they can build up the adults around them, then the adults will stay around long enough to help us get to adulthood.
Yeah, and so many kids you're right, are conditioned to feel that, well, the only way for me to get attention, the only way for me to get love is to put myself last. And in some cases that's true in that moment as a child, but by the time we're adults, we've still got this old record that was valid when we were 4 or 5 years old, and it's just no longer valid. Unless we update those files, life just keeps playing out in that way.
As a therapist, Daniel, what I've observed, or the way I've put that, is that things that we figure out to do when we are children tend to, like you say, they need to be updated because they tend to start working against you. They almost do the opposite when you become an adult.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. What was necessary in that moment is no longer the absolute truth. It reminds me, Eileen, we used to, years ago when we were first starting out with our business and teaching people, for some reason we kept, we never had enough money to pay the bills. The money would always come in at the 11th hour, so to speak, at the last possible second, somebody would pay us, and then we'd get to pay the bills. It got so frustrating, so stressful that we thought, what are we doing? We know that our beliefs are creating our reality. Let's have a look. What are we carrying at the subconscious level that is creating this experience? So we went in the subconscious, Eileen, and it was very funny because the belief that was there was everything works out in the end.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So these these nice little phrases and beliefs that we're taught as a kid that mum and dad say, don't worry, everything works out in the end. That may have been fine back in the day, but this is no longer working for us.
Right. So we need them to work out in the beginning.
Exactly. So that's the belief that we were able to see the truth, and we got to see that things don't need to wait till the end to work out. They can work out right from the beginning. So that changed our experience. It made a huge difference, let me say.
Now, what is it that happens when you say, like you when you're talking with Melissa, you say the truth is, you give the truth. What happens when truth is given that makes a difference?
Well, there's a few things. It's a very, very interesting question. What's happening is, as I said before, we're storing all these non-truths, these belief systems in the subconscious mind. Now, the body is just waiting and waiting and waiting for them to be healed. So the minute it hears the truth, that belief is dissolved. When we can fully integrate the truth, that belief is dissolved. Now, several things happen then. Number one, it's like the brain is being reprogrammed. A new program is coming into the fore. That's one thing. Another thing is the physiology, our physical well-being, is now being given this new lease on life because it's now reflecting that I am worthy, like in Melissa's case, I am worthy of putting myself first. So the body is now healing at a different level because the non-truths actually create a decay and aging and so on. So we have a healing that's taking place, and a third thing that's happening is that we are connecting deeper to our higher self. So mind, body, and soul, three things are occurring when we shift that non-truth. It's a beautiful, beautiful process.
Wow. Yeah, I heard an Indian yogi lecture some years ago, many, many years ago, talking about facing fact, which is to look squarely at what is, which is the truth.
Yes.
And his contention was that truth sets you free. But I'm very interested. Thank you for explaining the process. Okay, we have another caller, Daniel. I don't have a name here. Are you on the line?
I'm on the line.
Okay. You want to give us a name?
Mel.
Okay. What's your question?
Hi, Mel.
My question. Hi, how are you? My question is, I'm thinking of moving to Israel. What are your thoughts of that?
Well, let's have a look. There's a couple of levels to that. One is, Mel, that what awaits you is a really beautiful experience. But before you can really have the ultimate experience, there's a couple of kind of limiting beliefs that are there. One of them that's showing up, it's something around people annoy me. Can you feel that? It's like people annoy me. I have people who annoy me in my life.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the message is that if you go to Israel with that belief still there, that people are annoying, you're going to attract in very similar circles to what you're experiencing now. And that's not the ultimate experience that your higher self is aiming for. So the key message is, before you go, just clean out some of these weeds that are creating some of the unpleasant experiences you are having where you are now, so you don't end up dragging them and recreating them in Israel. And again, that's something that Eileen can help you with for sure.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So
Bye
the
now.
weeds, the things you don't need.
Yeah.
But that's true for all of us, what you just offered, Mel. The truth is that we can move to different places, but we take ourselves with us.
Wherever we go, exactly, exactly.
And so the idea of moving someplace else so we'll have a different experience is sort of pie in the sky. It's okay to move to another place, but the different experience comes because we change internally.
Exactly. If you were going to maintain the same beingness as you have where you have now as to where you move to, you are going to attract the same situations, whether it's career and relationship. You'll bring the exact same thing in. But yeah, if you're able to shift your beingness, your belief systems, then moving somewhere can, it becomes irrelevant where you move to because you've shifted within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have a question on the chat, Daniel.
Sure.
I'm now 61. At 22 years old, I fractured my first and second vertebrae, had surgery, and continue to experience nerve damage. How is this a part of my soul journey, and what does my soul want me to know?
Let's look at that. Let me connect into that one. Let's have a look. The first message that comes up is it's not really the soul journey per se. It's like by looking at it as the soul journey has you hold on to it longer than it needs to. That's the first key thing. Look at it as part of the ego journey to have you connect more to your soul. And the way that happens is by releasing the non-truth. That's the first big message. So your higher self is going to go, don't look at me. I didn't put it there. Because whenever you see it coming from that divine space, you think it's good. You want to hold on to it. It's teaching me a lesson. Your higher self is going, come on, let it go. That's the first message. The second message is you feel you need suffering to be worthy of enlightenment. And
wow.
And your higher self is going, I never said that. That's not my thinking. That's such an old paradigm and such an old thought process. That's why people have gone through it, because that's what a lot of people used to say a long time ago. Suffering is the denial or resistance of the truth of the higher self, and it's the listening to the way of the ego. So it's not a prerequisite unless you believe it should be. So that's the next message. So what you need to start seeing is that by releasing pain, by releasing struggle and resistance, that's the way into enlightenment. So holding on to suffering is only prolonging the suffering and pushing out enlightenment.
Wow.
That's the message.
Wow. So wow. That's so... I took the training that you offer at Accessing UI, and I have been working. I'm coming up on a year now. I've been working to release beliefs, and it just seems like there's one after the other after the other. It gets easier. I won't say that it doesn't get easier, but there's a pile of beliefs that we hold inside of us, and most people don't even realize that beliefs are running their lives, much less what they are. Yes.
So what's your question, Aline? Because I would like to have a look at what your belief is about your beliefs.
I didn't actually have a question. I just was thinking about how many layers there are, but I'm wide open if you want to share something with me. That's great.
Okay. The first belief that comes up is, without clearing my beliefs, I'll have nothing to do.
Oh, wow.
That's the first thing. It's like, if I'm not working on myself, what am I going to do with myself? One of your limiting beliefs has come up and kind of turned the process against you. Do you know what I mean? It's funny. It's just gone, if this is what she believes, then we'll keep her busy clearing beliefs all day long.
Okay.
So We need to look at the truth, and we look at the truth of it is the first truth is, Eileen, is that you're already perfect.
Right.
You're already there. Now, you can choose to clear more beliefs because that allows in a more expansive life experience, but to say I need to clear beliefs is a non-truth. Everything right now within your life is perfect. That's the truth. Now, whilst we resist the perfection, we're going to experience imperfection. But when we embrace that it is perfect now, that is the space in which we can create anything clearly. So there you go. You start seeing yourself as perfect and you won't feel the need to keep clearing. And just the notion of seeing yourself as perfect is its own right clearing beliefs immediately. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yes, I do. I'm thinking if I am a listener to this show, mm-hmm. I want more explanation for what do you mean I'm already perfect. I'm ready to take it, but I'm thinking from another point of view. In what way am I already perfect?
Let me get the words from you, okay?
Okay.
There is this common misconception that if something needs fixing, it means something's wrong or something's not perfect. Now, fixing is just a current state of being where you're getting a glimpse of a new level. So when you see it like that, it's almost like being at a train station. You can see a train coming, but as human beings we're going, that needs fixing, the train isn't here yet. But your higher self is saying, but you see the next level coming, is that not perfect? We label it as this isn't okay, but why not? You see the train is on its way, that is perfect. If you weren't able to see the next level, that's a different story, but you're seeing what new level of life experience is available. That is divine perfection, the next level of creation. Now, to be in a hurry for that train to arrive, that causes stress and anxiety. To think that you're not worthy of the train to arrive is, again, a non-truth. But to be in this place of, isn't this perfect, that I'm at the point of the next level, that is perfection. Make sense?
Yes. So, as I was preparing for the program, I'm going to do a program later this month on grandparents who are raising their grandchildren. And I'm reading a wonderful book by Sylvie de Toledo about grandparents raising grandchildren. There's a somewhat of an epidemic that's going on right now. In the last 20 years, the number of grandparents who are raising grandchildren has just exploded. And the larger reason is, parents lose their ability to raise their own kids, and sometimes it's because they die in an automobile accident or, something of that nature. But the largest percentage is parents who are drug addicted. Mm. And so I was wondering if you could offer some light on this situation. The kinds of questions that were coming to my mind is like, well, this is an experience in life. People have experiences. Groups have experiences. That's one way that we learn or progress or see things. So I'm assuming there's something that we human beings are supposed to see. This is a worldwide phenomenon, by the way. It's not just in the U.S. And And if so, what are the kinds of things that we need to see when things go awry in such a way?
It's a great question. It's a very, very deep conversation. The first message that comes in is, rather than looking at the problem and the grandparent situation itself, we need to go back to, why is it that these parents are unable to look after their kids? And brings up their parents, okay? It brings up what happened during the parenting process that has led these kids to, and our parents, to want to kill themselves, through drugs, have them not feel adequate to raise their own kids. That's the big question that's coming up. And let me just have a look what's showing up in that light is, so that generation was taught it's not okay to love yourself. It's just not. They were taught that you're not good enough, God doesn't see you as good enough, you're not perfect, you're not whole as you are. So a lot of those belief systems were given to the next generation. So, these people have felt that their whole life, created the experiences of drugs and various other experiences and accidents and incidents that took them out. So the lesson is, how do we not have this repeating? What do we need to be teaching our children so that, history doesn't repeat itself? And it is about that you are unconditionally loved, that you are worthy of coming first in your life, that you can heal your own body, that you are an infinite being, part of the entire universe, and you have infinite intelligence at your disposal. These are some of the things that the kids need to be taught. That's one of the big messages that I'm getting to share.
Wow. Well, now that's interesting. That's interesting because as I've been reading this material, there's like an extra push for the grandparents to give the message to the children that they are loved because they're experiencing a loss, with their parent, and so there's an automatic correction in the process. It sounds like.
Yeah, they're 100%, and that's what needs to happen when these kids are abandoned or rejected or there is a loss. Kids take it on personally. Most of the time, they see it as their fault, and to be raised or to grow up feeling that I'm not loved, I was rejected by my own parents. We see that as the onset for many illnesses like arthritis, even some cancers are coming from severe, this is all my fault. So the grandparents, the biggest thing that I would like to impart is, the more connected the grandparents get to their own true higher self, the more the child is going to reflect that. So, grandparents, it's time to do some extra personal development work or spiritual development work to see the truth about who you are so that your grandchild can be raised without the limiting beliefs that you were raised with.
I'm getting chills listening to you. That's so very important. I've really been impressed recently that actually the most important message we can impart to children or the most important support we can give them is to love themselves. It sounds like that's what you're saying, too.
There is nothing more important for the child to feel loved and love themselves. Self-love, people go to doctors, Eileen, I need medicine, I need help. What should I do? And it's just baffling to me that self-love is never the prescription. Self-love is the very energy that the human body was founded upon. It's the very binding instance that has the heartbeat. Love is what created us. So to not mention that in the healing process, therapy process, is what's missing. That energy of self-love connects that child to their infinite wisdom. So if all we ever taught our children was to love themselves, and they are loved. We've done the best job as a parent, I can tell you that.
Since you're in the middle of it, I'm really going to take that. You have two wonderful children yourself. Looks like we have another caller. We have Trish. Thank you for that, Daniel. We have
Hi.
Trish. Hey, Trish.
Hi, Trish.
Hi. So I was hoping to, I don't know how to, I guess, ask the question, look for a little insight from my higher self. A lot of decisions to make in the next 2 or 3 months and wondering how to best analyze those decisions.
Okay, the first message, Trish, that comes up is stop listening to everyone else's opinions.
Okay.
People within your circle, people that...
Okay, we're losing you again.
Oh. Ego's attacking me, Eileen. Let's clear them off.
I'm sorry. I've let my guard down.
You're on defense duty. Yeah. Hear me in my back.
No, you're breaking up still. You're still
Hello?
breaking up. Yeah.
Hello?
Can you hear us now? Can you?
Yes, I've got you. You got me?
Go for it.
Great. Thoughts that you're to you more experienced than you, and you're asking them for help, and they're leading you astray. That's the first thing. The next thing is for you to write down on a piece of paper all the questions that you have. And it feels like you can sit in meditation, do one question per night, or you could do more than one, just depends how you're going, but without the pressure, and just go into your deep meditation space and just ask, what is the truth about this decision? And just wait. Don't look for it. Don't hunt for it. Just let that answer come to you, and that will bubble up and be there for you.
Okay. So I guess my question is, you assume I know how to get into deep meditation. Is there,
well, I'm being shown that you are actually quite proficient at getting to a stillness enough space that you can hear that.
I don't think I am, but
I know
not.
you
Maybe
don't think you're. I can. Yeah, that's part of the message. You don't trust yourself.
That she doesn't trust herself?
Yeah, that's what the lesson is that you're going, how am I going to make all these decisions? Your higher self is going, that's easy, but you need to cultivate that self-trust rather than going outside of yourself. She's saying, when you sit in meditation, she's like, I'm there for you. You just don't know it's me, so you doubt yourself.
Got it. Okay, that's helpful. That makes sense.
Yeah, you're there. The answers are there. You just need to trust yourself.
Okay.
And as always, Trish, what I learned in UI is that what you do with what you're given is up to you. So I really want to encourage you to use this. I think you'll get a huge benefit. And
if you like, Trish, we've got some very powerful techniques on our website at Accessing UI. When you go in, you can become a free member. There's a workshop there, how to tap directly into your higher self. There's some tools that will help really fast-track that. Doesn't feel like you need them, but if you want to learn something new, that's okay. But the message is you're already there. When you sit in that space, the answers are there.
Okay, what was the website again?
Accessing UI. So ACCESSING, and letters UI for universalintelligence.com, accessingui.com.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for your call.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. So one of the people on the chat says deep meditation can be understood as a capacity to focus and an ability of experience clarity, not always so metaphysical or mysterious.
Okay.
Yep.
It's to me it's one cannot separate the metaphysical, the spiritual realm from the physical realm. They're one and the same. So, this is a spiritual universe. That's how it works. So how do you segregate. It's a very nicely written phrase, so I will. It was great.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
It was.
Yeah, I posted on a parenting site recently the notion that children are souls in small bodies. And I got a bit of, wow, I never thought of it that way. But that is the way that we need to think of it, is it not? I mean, that's true for all of us.
It absolutely is. I love that you did that. We've got, as you know, we've got a little 9-month-old baby. It's just the delight of our life, as is her brother. And when we look at her, we see this little body, but there's this very, very, very big and very powerful soul in that body. And as parents, the more parents see their child as this all-knowing, God-like intelligence, the more the child is raised to believe and see themselves as that. Now just think for a minute how different the decisions people make when they see themselves as an idiot who doesn't know much, which is how most kids are raised. That's how I was. Or what kind of decisions does somebody make when they see themselves as an all-knowing, godly being? Very different. Life on this planet will be very different when we have a whole generation running around with, I'm infinite intelligence. I'm huge.
So something really popped up in my head. We're coming close to the end here, but something popped up in my head that I want to ask. It didn't come from me, but the question is, can children, like maybe the age of my granddaughter who's 8, can they really handle thinking of themselves as a perfect godlike being?
Oh yeah, they can't handle it. What they can't handle is thinking themselves as small and a nobody and somebody who doesn't know anything yet.
Yes. Well, I had a very interesting way, Daniel. I don't know if I ever told you about this of teaching my children. It was brought to my attention when my son was about 4 that that people often were wearing big bodies. They were adults, but they still thought of themselves as incompetent as they felt when they were 4.
Yes.
And so I decided to try to demonstrate to my children that they had great capabilities. And so the way I did it was that on their birthday, I tried to help them create their dream. And with Jonathan, I asked him when he was 4, what would he really like to do if he could do anything? And he said he wanted to fly a jet plane.
Wow.
And he wasn't talking about being on an airliner, okay? And I was a single parent. I didn't have much money, but it turned out as I talked with people, I had a friend who owned a light plane that was hangared near our home, and she had a friend who was a flight instructor. And on my son's 4th birthday, they took that plane up, and he flew over the Golden Gate Bridge. That was before 9/11.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And so that was the kind of thing that we did to try to, in the world, show that you have greater capability than most people will allow you to have as a 4-year-old.
That is amazing, and that's a really big thing for parents and for kids is that more kids know that they're able to create big things, manifest big things, that they are they're able to cause their life experience. That's a very big thing to focus on as parents. It's just beautiful to hear how you've raised your kids, Eileen.
Well, it popped in my mind when Jonathan turned or was 9. I was having a birthday. He decided I needed a rabbit, and he found some friends of mine who not only helped him find a rabbit, but got a free cage and brought it to my house. So he manifested on that level just 5 years later. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I mean, I don't put this out as he was exceptional. This is the kind of thing that all of us can do. All kids can do this.
Yeah, and it's not about burdening children with the responsibility of being godlike. It's about having them see themselves as a creative force, as an all-knowing. They have the answers available to them. They're self-sufficient beings. Yes, they can draw on mum and dad for help and support, but we're raising them with the awareness that it's already within them, that they don't need to do anything or learn anything in order to become perfect and lovable, that they are already loved and they are already perfect. From that space, kids don't take drugs, kids don't become promiscuous, they don't make disastrous career choices, they make powerful, enlightened decisions. And that's what it's about.
That's a beautiful place to end. Thank you, Daniel. I've really enjoyed having you on the show today. It's just been wonderful. Thanks for exploring all these things with me.
It's been my pleasure. I loved it. Thanks.
Great. All right, let me remind people that your website is accessingui.com. And that there's also a workshop, the Beyond Belief workshop, coming up mid-June in San Francisco, which is the area where I am. But there are lots of other programs in Southern California. You're going to do one in Hawaii coming up also, correct?
So, that's the self-mastery and the mental training. We've got a workshop this weekend in Malibu, one in San Diego coming up, and then there's the workshops you can do online. So everything's on the website. Come have a look. If you have any questions, let us know. You can even jump on, become a member, and you can actually write in and ask us a question to tap into universal intelligence, your higher self, and get the answers. So come along and see what there is for you. You'll love it.
Great, wonderful. Well, Daniel, I know that you live what you talk about, and I so much appreciate you showing everybody today what you've been able to develop and intuit and work with, and I invite everybody who's listening to go to Accessing UI and check out the membership, including there's a free membership, and there are different levels of membership, I know, including one where you can get a bit of training for $550 only. So go to accessingui.com, and Daniel, in the meantime, thank you so much. Hello to your wonderful family, and thank you for your wonderful wisdom today.